On the farthest shores of the River of Time, shrouded deep in the roiling mist.
What is it, Fran?
The mist runs thick here.
Like on the Leviathan?
Do not worry. I will behave myself. The mist here is cold. I sense something like the shadow here.
Fena. It appears Cid has yet to arrive. We'll lie in wait for him here.
So we're not going inside?
Not unless you want to end up twisted. Like the old man. Something there.
What is it?
She can see him. Let's follow her.
We have reached Giruvegan, and we can't help but feel that we are being led here, not just by Dr. Cid, who has more or less said that you should go here. Maybe you'll get another piece of nethasite for your trouble, or whatever that is. But Ash has been seeing these visions of Lord Rossler, and he's, despite the fact that he's been dead for 2 years, she's seeing visions of him whenever nethasite is near. She saw a vision of him before she was about to kill the Dawn Shard and all that, and she's seeing the same image here. Yeah. So they definitely are being led around here. Now I'm preparing for an upcoming boss battle by doing the stuff that I'm doing right now. I unfortunately was not able to do a live commentary for this episode because I did play through this area of the game. I recorded the commentary, or I did the commentary as I played the game, but unfortunately I screwed it up. I screwed it all up, and unfortunately the commentary track was not saved, so I took the raw video footage and edited it. Now I'm doing the commentary post-gameplay here. Now, the reason why I set up my characters there is because I was right next to the save crystal, and I didn't end up using any MP because I cast my spells, buffed my characters, then recovered all of my MP at the save crystal, giving me plenty of time to run to the next area and encounter this thing. Now this is going to be a boss battle for us. Not a difficult one, provided you set yourself up for it. Let's go kill this thing. It's gonna get loud though. You have no head. Looks like you have the Buster Sword too. Daedalus! Okay, let's kill this thing. Now, the way that this boss battle works, it lures you into kind of a false sense of security because look how quickly we're ripping damage, we're ripping its health away from it. Each attack does some significant damage, and its attacks are actually not particularly powerful against us. Now, it's even lower because I have both Protect and Shell on my characters, and Regen, I think. As well, okay, Regen's only on Bond. But they're also hasted, so they do damage, they do their attacks quicker. Now, once you get your its HP to around this point, it becomes harder and harder to fight the thing because it readies rage, it gets more powerful, and its attacks are capable of sometimes bringing your characters down in one hit. So fighting this thing from this point forward can be quite difficult. So that's why I go into my quickening chamber. I save my MP for the end of the battle, because otherwise or the thing might be. So unlike usual, where I would throw my quickenings at the beginning of the battle, see where that leads me, I'm saving it for the end of the battle this time.
I never knew.
I lowered the thing's HP enough that I probably don't need to do a whole lot of attacks.
I must endure.
3 hits. Imagine this thing is just some sort of a guardian. There's got to be something in the bestiary which gives you a little bit of a backstory as to what the deal is with this creature. But I would assume that it is some sort of a guardian protecting the ancient city and potential nethasite that we can find in here. Okay, how many attacks was that? 4? If you get your quickening chains like in a certain way, like X number of level 3 quickenings and X number of level 2 and 1 quickenings, it determines the level of the extra attack that you perform. Like for example, I did not do a good quickening chain here. So what am I going to end up with? Probably Inferno. Yeah, Inferno, which is the weakest of the attacks. Unfortunately, that's what we're going to have to live with here, but it's more than enough to kill the thing, I suspect. And it's dead. Okay, now that that thing is dead, and congratulations has been given, we get to move on. Oh, hold on, my screen's blind. Okay, there we go. Now from this point on during this episode, I get much more aggressive with my editing, because the original version of this, when I first recorded it while gameplay was going on, was over 42 minutes long. Overly long. Now, what I've done is I've edited down most of the battles that I occur in here, which essentially cut the episode in half. So, hold on, around 20 minutes, so that's around about half. Start the fight. I'm not going to end it, are we? A lot of the enemies that we're going to encounter in here are pretty much just the same things that we had encountered in other areas of the game. So we're gonna edit most of that fight we were about to encounter with that behemoth out, so we don't have to watch that. This area is another puzzle section of the game, not a difficult puzzle, mind you, just another puzzle. It's going to involve going to these different areas and flipping these switches, which open up new areas for us to pass through. Then you end up having to pass or activate a certain number of switches in order to move on to the next area. Not a difficult puzzle to figure out. So long as you can find all of the switches, you're basically good. The only problem is that the enemies in this area are rather plentiful, so as you note, that number of edits I'm going to have to be making in this episode, there are a lot of enemies. Now, I was talking earlier about how Ash was being led here. Now, it occurs to me that she is probably if you're going to consider anybody to be the main character of this, or the protagonist of this game, it would have to be Ash. That's a little bit of a weird statement because Ash is not what you would consider to be like your traditional main character, because obviously Vaughn is the character that we're playing as, but Ash is the one who's central to the story and all that kind of stuff. And I guess we really hadn't seen that before in the Final Fantasy series, except for 6, which you could possibly call Terra the main character. I wouldn't really, but you could say that. But she's not a particularly strong character in certain respects. Now, she's physically strong. She can do quite a bit of damage, but that's not what I'm talking about. she is a character that is rather easily manipulated by other characters. For example, pretty much everything that she has done so far has been at the urging of somebody else, be it Vossler, or Bosch, Larsa, or Balthier. All these different characters have gone and sort of convinced her to go and do different things. Now, ultimately, it is her decision which guides the direction that your party makes going to these different areas. Even though Cid convinced her to go here, it was her decision to go to Giruvegan and all of these different things. But I mean, you have to consider that even though she is like the royalty that's trying to take over, and she's a person who's supposed to be the leader of Dalmasca, she is still not, I mean, she's 19 years old, not someone who I'd consider to be particularly grown up by this point, despite the fact that she's trying to sort of push it. Now, she's not like particularly immature, but she is rather aggressive with her beliefs. She is someone who is willing to listen to reason about things. Like Larsa was able to convince her to sort of lay down her arms, or try to convince Marquis of Andor to try and like not start a war, which would not only get the Empire destroyed, but would also do the same thing to Dalmasca. So she is someone who's willing to listen to reason, but you have to think she's not like the strongest character out there. She is fairly easily manipulated. Now, I imagine she would actually be a rather boring character if she were just like the ultimate badass that just damn what everyone says, I'm gonna do what I want, because that's basically what we got with Lightning in Final Fantasy XIII, and she's not a particularly popular character, because that's not something that people would really want to play as, whether it be a man or a woman. But I imagine culturally at least, it's a little considered less of an accepted thing if a female character is that kind of bossy and whatnot. Ash kind of avoids that, but also seems to fall into a little bit of a trap of being a little too passive when it comes to the decision making. Oh, okay. The last switch, I did not flip the last switch. I can't get through that area. Let's move on. Oh, okay, apparently I didn't edit this fight out. I guess I killed this thing quickly enough. Oh, more monsters are coming. These behemoths are everywhere. Some of the enemies in this area are rather mobile. I mean, I imagine they still have a certain path that they cross, but it seems to be larger in this area than it is in a lot of the other sections of the game, where enemies just sort of roam around in a small circle or something like that. These guys are sons of bitches, especially the elementals, which will attack you on sight, pain in the ass things. Come and attack you while you are in the process of engaging another enemy in a fight. And well, during recording of this episode, it led to a number of occasions where I suddenly found myself overwhelmed because, well, I didn't prepare properly before a fight, but I thought I could take him on, and I was probably right, but another enemy went and joined in at the last second, and that just messed me up all then. Ash has the disease debuff on her. It's not like a poison or anything like that. What it does is it lowers your HP down to its base form. Now, since Ash is not using heavy armor or anything like that, I have her light armor on her, because I suspect she's, with the long-range weapon she has, I want to boost her magic abilities, and I suspect she's not going to be taking a lot of damage from a ranged weapon, so her HP got reduced to 1. Now, if a character like Vaughn or Bosch with heavy armor on were to get diseased, their HP would not be reduced all the way to 1, because there's like boosting stats associated with heavier armor. Level up. Ah, geez, there is an elemental. And that elemental gave me a lot of grief. Now, you're not going to see this because that was a long a stretch of gameplay that I cut out while that elemental was chasing me all around. Ugh. But, I mean, once I got down there and engaged these things, the elemental attacked, I had to flee. This is like 5 minutes later that I'd come back and finished these monsters off, and was able to flip the switch. I did eventually return, off camera of course, in order to get my revenge on the elemental, and I did kick that thing's ass. The elementals are pretty powerful in this game, and usually the most powerful enemy, aside from the bosses that you're going to encounter in these different dungeons, but they're by no means invincible. Now, I, at this point, got a little bit tired of engaging every freaking enemy that I stumbled across, so I hit the flee button and just bolted past everything. You know, aside from this Marlboro. Ah, geez, Vaughn has to stop status on him. These, Vivian they call them, but they're like the Marlboro enemies. They are, much like in the other Final Fantasy games, a lot of their attacks involve status ailments. Now, this thing is a real pain in the ass, because anybody close enough to engage the thing with melee attacks is going to be close enough to be susceptible to its debuffs, which will perform all sorts of nastiness on your characters. Like 6 or 7 debuffs are going to be landed on your characters at once, and chances are you're not going to have any one particular ability which will negate all of them. Like a remedy, and most of your characters, unless you've really gone out of your way to pick those up on the license board, are not going to be able to get rid of all of your status ailments at once. I'm throwing haste on all of my characters real quick so I can engage these statues. I probably should have cut that out, because I did cut the battle out. And it's dead. I believe that's the last switch, and now we can head back down. Move on to the next area. Yep, there's the map. Heading down. Even if the enemies don't respawn particularly fast in this area, the fact that they are so mobile means that you'll encounter enemies in areas where you had cleared it, or at least believed that you cleared it. Oh geez, see, I thought I cleared this area, and there's another enemy there. Weak enemy, so it's not a big deal. But, you know, it's still an enemy. That demon tail that we just picked up is quite a good piece of loot to drop at a vendor, you know. I think it gives you like 2,000 gil or something like that. Ah, geez, see, so many enemies down there. Probably should have just ran past them. Fighting things is such a pain in the ass. I guess the reason why I was fighting so many enemies when I clearly didn't need to was because I had run out of money while trying to pick up equipment in the last town I had gone to, and I kind of wanted to pick up a lot of loot so I didn't have to worry about that next time I hit a town. Okay, once we have all these areas clear, we can run up to the wall, and the path will just magically appear. Very nice. We're moving on to the next area, and it's going to be the end of the episode, though. So thanks for watching, and goodbye.
I can't shake the feeling we're somewhere we're not meant to be.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Exciting?
You are not troubled by the unknown? Who can say what lies ahead? We may encounter the very creators of nethasite.
Yeah, I don't know what we'll find. I like it better that way.
You're sounding more the Sky Pirate every day.